So.
Yeah, it's all good. But okay, I'll get started. So with PosiTalk, I want to focus on the three pillars of what I believe is a legitimate business, which is your physical, mental health, your ability to execute service, and your ability to stay organized. Very simple concepts, but if you think about them and spend your time diving into the subject matter, they really are the essential components of being able to be legitimate and actually say like, hey, I've invested everything I can into being as good as I can at what I do. So I've got two other subject matter experts. I got Ben, who's my physical and mental health dude.
What up?
Been for 20 years, best friend, awesome guy. Kenny is the service master. I'll let him do his introduction. I'm on organization, but I'm not going to talk about online booking or anything like that. I'm going to talk about organizing your story to make sure like everything in your story backs up what you're saying, so that the experience, no matter where it is, from what people see online to what people experience in the real world, it's consistent. That's really important to me because there are a lot of people that go around talking about, putting out content and ideas that, say one thing, but they're actually not doing it themselves. And I really want us to be accountable as human beings, to be as exceptional as we can possibly be, so that, long term, we can make this world a better place. So I'll give you my backstory. Ben can do his, and then I'll let Kenny do his backstory. So, I do Resurva, guys. I know Devin, I know Adam, I know Roger. These guys use our system. That doesn't really matter though. Like for me, Resurva is everything I've ever wanted to do in my life. It's my life statement. I get to be myself. I get to put out interesting ideas, and we get to work with amazing people around the world that are doing amazing things, where if I walked into that business and didn't have a connection to them, I'd be like, wow, this is a rad place. I can't believe, when I look at what I do, I can't believe that I have an association with so many businesses around the world. So, before I was doing Resurva, I did a lot of digital marketing. So I worked with bands, I worked with record labels. I did a lot of work with big corporations to help them, do marketing initiatives and also build web applications for people. So that's what got me into Resurva. We started Resurva because our buddy John opened a barbershop 7 years ago in Kensington Market. And my brother got his haircut with him, and he was just like, hey, James, you want to build a booking system? And we'd already built something for another client before along the same lines. And I said, sure. And, the story leads us to where we are today, being able to do a podcast with 8 amazing people talking about amazing things. And that makes me super stoked. So Ben, you do your thing.
What's up, everyone? I'm Ben Dussault. I run a club called Anchored Social Club. It used to be a physical location where I have people come in, people from the community or a destination location, people to come and do movement. Movement was kind of the thing that I focused on in the beginning, getting people physically healthy. And then I realized by hitting my own roadblocks, if you will, that there was a lot more to health, which would be, James mentioned mental health, physical health, but it goes even deeper than that for me. It goes into like social health, it goes into spiritual health, and it goes into environmental health, nutritional health, like Kenny drinking his smoothie, like all those things to me make up that holistic version of health. So though physical and mental are very much at the forefront for a lot of people, and myself included, they're just a small segment of the bigger picture. The relationships, your businesses, who's in the shop, who your clients are, who sits at your chairs. What do you do in the morning when you first get up? Are you like hustling right away, or are you taking time to, find out and figure out who you are that specific day? What are you working with and kind of against based off of like what happened the night before, what happened that morning? All those factors contribute to an overall health. So that's really where I approach my business now, where I kind of curate, like if a client comes to me and they're like, I want to lose, 20 pounds, or I want to get, jacked or whatever. I'm usually more inclined to ask the questions like, okay, why? Like, what is it that you need versus what is it that you want? And that's a big thing for me, to address the needs versus the wants. So that's where I'm going to be approaching this this topic or these topics of our conversation during this podcast. So what's up? And I'm glad to be here. I'm so stoked that James is putting together this thing. Yeah, we've been friends for a long time. You know, we have our relationship, James and I, we're like an old married couple. We love each other and we fight, and it's just normal. But you know, it's healthy because we address things and we talk about things. So let's address some real topics today and let's talk about some real stuff. That's it.
Okay. I saw Gustavo came on. You can hear us okay, man?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, sick. I guess Kenny, you want to do your little story?
Yes. For those that don't know, my name is
Kenny. By little, I mean amazingly big story.
For those that don't know, my name is Kenny Duncan. I'm most known as an educator with the Andes Company, but I would like to be known for the other things that I do within the industry and for my family and for my business. This December, I'll have 20 years behind the chair as a licensed barber. But outside of that one, I've been an educator. I built a lot of relationships with barbers across the world, teaching them how to become a better barber. But throughout those relationship buildings and an opportunity for me to build success within my industry, with me being, working with movie sets and working with high-end individuals, I learned a lot about interpersonal relationships. And where I like to park the quarter and the meter most today is to talk about emotional intelligence, because that leads to a higher higher scores on customer service. What I did most recently with my business is make sure that I was always in tune with the thoughts of my business from my customers. And I recently did some surveys, and I'll dive into that more into this conversation. I did it for the purpose of understanding what people are saying about my business, to understand what things need to be changed, because if I can't track it, then I can't grow it, because I can't judge myself by myself. I want to be in a situation where I'm viewing things from others' perspectives, not just my own. And the heart of emotional intelligence is being in tune with not just your own emotions, but the emotions of others. And it's highly important in service, because even though we provide services, we really don't sell services. People are buying into us, and what we are selling is feelings. What people want to do is feel good about the purchase that they purchase from you, whether it be a service or a product. And we want to always provide them with value. And the only way we can do that is being in tune with what they have as expectations, being aware of what their emotions and their thoughts are what our service or products is, and be in tune with that one highly, instead of just looking at it from a me first perspective. So that's the piece I want to bring today, because it's the current challenge I'm dealing with my business. I think it's something that's important for other people's businesses too, and it's going to help the success rates of your business as well as mine.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. That emotional connection is so important, especially today when there's like you're competing, and you're not even competing, and there's so much noise created of things that are devalued. You can go to a big box store and just purchase something at a rock bottom price, and it's like people, that attitude, I guess, gets shifted onto other businesses or people that are doing things that are actually valuable. And that's really important to do. I guess what we can do now is we can have everyone introduce themselves quick. So I'll just do a roll call. Gustavo, since you're at the top of the list, you want to just introduce yourself real quick?
Yes, my name is Gustavo Tobias, and I'm here out of Oklahoma City. And I'm a super young barber, but I'm inspired by all you guys in the industry, and I just look forward to growing and continue to learn, and just develop and grow to become a successful and great barber.
Amazing.
Thanks, Gustavo.
Cool. Devin, you wanna give us your story real quick?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Morning.
Yeah, perfect, man.
Good morning. My name is Devin. I go by Seven the Barber on Instagram. I'm very grateful. Mr. James invited me to this podcast conference. I'm at the shop cutting right now. I've been cutting for almost 20. Yeah, you got to.
Mm-hmm.
I've been cutting for almost 20 years. I'm 33. Just trying to just advance and learn as much as I can, be around great people as yourselves, everyone on this phone right now. And just develop. I'm really interested in this conversation because I'm an advocate for mentorship, because I always say you can only do what you know. And a lot of people, a lot of males fall at the wayside because we don't have enough mentorship. And the mental health aspect is very important in all communities. You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of people don't address that, especially men. We don't address that. We always say, oh, I'm fine, I'm okay, I don't need anyone to talk to. And that's what barbering comes in, because we speak to a lot of people about their problems, stuff that's going on, relationships, finances, family, whatever. And we talk and counsel a lot of people, and that's really big. I always tell cats, when you're in the barber chair, it's 30 minutes or whatever that you have disconnected from the outside world. You can kind of just slow down, be yourself, and just kind of decompress and actually talk to somebody, because a lot of cats talk to their barbers about stuff they don't even talk to their women about. You know what I'm saying? So this is a great conversation. I thank y'all for even bringing this to the forefront. So I'm just happy to be a part of it. And thank you.
Man, that's amazing. You should be leading this conversation.
Yo, Devin, you're taking this one over,
not yet. I'm learning.
No. We're all learning. That's the thing, man, is like no one's ahead of anybody else, right? We're all in this together. Yeah. And that's like really what we all need to understand is like if we want to make things better, we all got to help each other out, right?
Absolutely.
That was awesome, man. That was really cool to hear. Okay, so I'll do Adam next. Adam, you want to tell your story real quick?
Okay. Good morning. My name is Adam, and I go by Adam the Apprentice online. I've been a barber going on about 5 years now, and I basically named myself Adam the Apprentice due to the fact that I just want to continue to learn, and I believe that like there's no like I don't put a lot of value in trying to consider myself as like a master barber or want to say that I know it all. I just take the approach of the industry is always changing, and there's always something to learn. There's always something that I could learn to do better or grow and push myself forward and those around me. So I just keep my mind open to the fact that there's always something new to learn. And I learn something new every day. And I believe I could learn something from someone who's been in the industry for 20 plus years, as well as someone who just started a year ago. So that's kind of the approach I take to the industry, and not just barbering, but life as well.
Amazing, man.
That
is a great story. Ray, you want to give us your background, your story as well?
Yes. I live in Champaign, Illinois, and I work on the U of I campus, and I've been a barber for 8 years. And the first 5 or 6 years, I really concentrated on cutting hair and just try to perfect my fades. But at this point in my career, seeking continued education, because I'm starting to get burned out on trying to do all these fades, and I want to get into more service and create more of a feeling for my clients. And I want them to look at me more than just cutting hair. Like I'm into like building relationships now. But at first I was just concentrating on cutting hair, but now I'm starting to understand that what separates barbers apart is the extra stuff they do, the relationships they build, you know, and how they care for their clients and things like that. So I'm trying to focus more on that at this point in my career. And when I seen Kenny Duncan on here, that really got my attention, because I'm going to one of his classes next month in Pennsylvania. So and another thing, I'm really looking for just people who know what they're doing and really care about what they're doing. And I want to align myself with individuals like that, whether it's people like Kenny Duncan or even people in my own town or my state. I just trying to align myself with people who just want to go further than where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really important, community and the support network that you have. That's really what enables you to do everything, right? I've done a lot of stuff on my own for many years of my life, and it's really difficult. It's like once you align yourself with people that can help propel you forward, it just becomes so much easier, even if it's just someone to talk to about sort of like, it's like a marathon of misery sometimes running a business, right? And the negativity that comes with it, it can be really hard to get to. But even just to have someone to talk to and bounce ideas off of, or come up and to address some of those issues you're going through, that's really, really important. And that, again, it just goes back to why we're doing this. Is I want people to understand that, like, nobody's got this figured out. There's no magic formula, and together, like, we can help each other out get through those dark times, right? Because there's so many dark times when you're doing your own thing. Even from the outside, everyone's like, "Oh, you're crushing it. You're doing so well." But you know how many problems you have to deal with, and what's stressing you out. What's not letting you lead a balanced life where you got to work. I got 2 kids, and it's like I do everything possible to spend as much time with them, and it's just like as a result of that, it's like the relationship between my wife and I. It's like, we've got an awesome relationship, but we don't have much time to do stuff, because usually when they go to bed, I'm working again. And that's my life at this point in time. But, that's super important to talk about this stuff, because when you deal with it on your own, you can go to some bad spots. Being able to get off your chest and have someone to talk to, amazing. Last but not least is Roger Gadreau. You still there, dude?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. Yeah, I mean, those are some big stories to follow up on. But for myself, yeah, I've been a barber for going on 5 years now, full time. And but first and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3 children. And I think for me, the turning point in my career was really a couple of years ago. My wife lost 2 cousins to suicide, both fathers of 3. So it really hit home, and it made me realize the importance of our roles as barbers in opening conversation up with people who may be going through, some dark times, and how important it is to be able to process that with them, but also be able to have somebody to process it with afterwards. Because a lot of times I think, I know myself, I have I tend to carry things with me, right? So I needed people to process these conversations I was having with, so that I wasn't carrying that darkness or that burden. But that's why I love this. That's why I love what James and Ben and Kenny are doing, that we're opening up the conversations, and we have other guys that we can rely on, that we can go and talk to, and just help guys, guide them kind of into just a better lifestyle. And I think we do that with them physically, we help make them look better. But I think if we can start beat down and helping them out with that mental game, it would be amazing.
Yeah, I know you've got a good story in terms of just your transformation in the last couple of years, right, Roger, where you started to take your health really seriously, physical health, right? Would you say, like, how has that transformed your day-to-day, like, in the shop, in terms of, like, just like initially the physical aspect, but obviously that's spread over onto the mental side of things as well?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was just about to turn 40, so it's going on 3.5 years ago or so, and I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and just decided, like, enough was enough. I was probably the heaviest I'd ever been, and just physically not healthy, which transfers into mental and spiritual health as well, right? When one is lacking, they're all lacking. And so I started to make that change, and eating better and just getting more active. And I think with that comes a confidence, and not just that, it opens a conversation for other people to come to you and say, hey, like, like, you're looking good, like, what are you doing? And talking about that way. But yeah, the physical part was definitely one of those things that I had to get in check. Like, it wasn't good. And I know sometimes, we struggle with that. We get a half hour to eat, so we just kind of put whatever we can in our mouths, and that's not always the best thing for us, all right?
No, absolutely not. Maybe, like, that's like a really good point is balance. Like, I'll do the roll call through everyone. We'll start with but start with Gustavo. It's like, how do you find balance in your life at this point in time?
I actually can relate to the story that he was just speaking on, because I knew that I needed to drop weight, and I did this about a year. I want to say about 17, 18 months ago. I managed to drop 50 pounds. I went from 222 to 170 to 172. And I managed to stay balanced. Is just being proportionate and planning ahead. So, for example, if you know you're going to have a long day at the shop, don't depend on Postmates. Don't depend on your wife, your girl, whoever it may be to bring you food. You should go prepared. Have your meals ready so that whenever you do have 10, 15 minutes, you can just throw them in the microwave and be ready to eat, because we know that we need all the energy we can get, especially if we work hard. Like, we need all the energy we can get. And I just learned not to go without eating like for long periods of time, because I find that it drains you, not only energy wise but mentally as well. Like, we need to stay happy so we can service everybody and provide a better, like, the atmosphere can be right. Because the last thing we need is clients come in there and leave out the door saying that, oh man, he has a excuse my language, but a shitty attitude. Like, I don't ever want to go to that place again. So I just think finding a balance with eating right and prepping for the days that you know you're gonna work hard is a big key to maintaining your health.
Yeah, that's a really like, you've done an amazing job in like analyzing sort of like what was lacking in your life and addressing that. And that's a lot of people don't get to that point, right? They just talk about like, oh, one day I'm gonna get healthy, and it's really awesome that you took the opportunity to like address something in your life that was lacking. Like, Kenny, I'll bring it over to you, man. Like, how many years have you been cutting now? I forget. I'm sorry. I should know this.
Yeah, this December will make 20 years for me.
Yeah, 20 years. That's
20
amazing.
years.
So 2 decades. Have you made any like recent changes in your life, and like just from the like terms of like just from the like physical, or on the physical tip, or even just like what you're putting into your body, or how you address like you go about your day?
Different periods of my life, I've eaten differently, and my weight has fluctuated with it. And a lot of times it's based off of whether I'm being intentional or not. When traveling, and I do a lot of traveling, it's hard for me to make sure I keep with the strict diet, but I still try to focus on eating specific things. There was a few years back when I ended up doing a Daniel's fast, where I ended up cutting out meats and meat, sweets, and bread. And during that time, I learned firsthand, not just through mentally, but firsthand, I learned that the foods that I intake have a big impact on my energy level. So now I try to stay, and it's hard when traveling, but when I'm intentional and I'm planning ahead, I'm able to focus on specific foods that's going to help my energy. That's the reason why I go to kale a lot. The reason why I go to avocados a lot. The reason why I go to beets a lot, because those things I know help manage my energy. Turmeric, I'm a big fan of. There's specific things that I like to focus on, and it makes me, even when I'm in the airport, I'm flying different places, I'm analyzing the menus to look for some of my favorite foods that I know are going to help, spike my energies, give me the amount of energy that I need, and I try to focus on healthy fats. So those measures. Now my issue is late night snacking. That's that's my honest issue.
Yeah.
And it's funny thing is, I was just talking to one of my clients, who's an athlete. I was just talking to him. His name is Amir Johnson. He plays for the Sixers, and we were just having a heart-to-heart conversation about food. And one of the things I was just being transparent. Hey, bro, listen, I had this one issue with late night snacking. He's like, I do too. He says, what I'll do is I'll make sure I keep a jar of almonds right next to my bed. He said, my wife hates it because I'm always crunching them and wake her up in the middle of the night. But from that standpoint, I'm able to, he's like, I'm able to, balance out what I need to eat, because that's important. And he challenged me on this one thing just based off of conversation. He didn't view it as a direct challenge, but he challenged me on this idea of making sure that you're intentional about what you're eating all times, because it affects your energy level, and when you're actually ready to perform. So if you have that mindset when not on the court or when not in the barbershop, it helps us while we're in the barbershop. When we're working, the things that we do when nobody else is looking will help.
I think, I guess I'm gonna open up to Ben because Ben has a really good story about eating on the road and staying healthy on the road. And
We're going back.
You want to go back in time when you were a
Whew.
professional musician, when you used to play drums all the time?
Wow, we're going back. All right. I guess that's part of my story, so I'll share it. Yeah, I used to be a professional musician for a long time. Between the years of heavily between 2004 till 2010, played in a band from California, Orange County, and I played in a band from New York, a band called Throwdown, a band called Madball. Some of my favorite bands back then, and still some bands I love still today. Madball still being my favorite band, and some of my favorite people. So shout out to those guys. But I was always the oddball. Always, I mean, still the oddball. I'm still the oddball. I can't pretend I'm not. But you know, in the sense of, or in the ways that my eating habits, my exercise habits, and even some other habits that weren't quite healthy, like, you know, pulling away from the group, not really knowing how to socialize. I don't have a great understanding of good social health, perhaps. Like I'm really great at initial conversations with people. I'm just sharing my story, guys, all of it. But I'm not really great at it was hard for me to connect with who I was instead of the what I was. And at the time, what I was a drummer. What I was like, you know, a pretty fit, or I should say a very fit and aesthetically pleasing looking drummer and individual. And those became the things that I held on to. And with that story came my eating habits, my exercise habits, and those were really strict. So every day I had to exercise for a couple hours because I was dealing with, you know, not knowing how to tackle mental health and even social health, and being in different environments every day. I had to have structure. And so I was really good at always keeping food around, going to grocery stores, buying food ahead of time, having my bins, having like coolers. It drove everybody else crazy. But when we're traveling, you know, through Texas and we're going through like 6-7 hours of nothing, like, you know, driving between like El Paso and Arizona or something, you know, I was the guy with the food bin. I would break out the food bin. I'd be making sandwiches for everybody. Everybody was eating healthy. Everybody was happy. It created a better ambiance in the van or in the bus, whatever we were traveling in. And so I became really good at doing those things, and it became very normal to me. I knew where to exercise, how to exercise. If we stopped at gas stations, I could picture every spot in the gas station, how I was going to work out. I was going to do rows off of that bar. I was going to do push-ups off or chin-ups off the van. So I had structure and I had routine, which was really healthy for me to have those things. And they really helped in terms of getting through those times. And the reason I quit playing drums was because all those things didn't help me anymore. Exercising, eating well, they no longer worked for me. I still was faced with, oh, I'm not good in this environment, and I'm not healthy in this environment. And meaning I don't really know who I am. I don't even know what it is that I need. I keep gravitating to the same things over and over again, which is food, exercise, food, bless you, exercise. And it didn't work. Eventually didn't work. So when I turned 30, which was 9 years ago, I had to quit because I would have disappeared. I would have found other ways, unhealthy ways of coping. And I looked at mental health. My partner at the time, and that's another story because that's a sensitive one for me, but because it's very recent. I'm going through a separation and a divorce right now. It's very new. We have 2 kids, she and I. But going back, she really challenged me to be like, listen, I have someone you can go speak to. I know you're struggling. I think you should go speak to them. I was like, okay. And I resisted it for a bit. And then I joined these men's groups that were about, emotional health and also socializing. It was the first time that I ever been held by another man and felt comfortable being held and not thinking like, oh, this is gay, or this is, this is not right. Cause I also have a gay father. Guys, I'm going in here. I have a gay father. So that was a big thing for me growing up, where I was like, I found out when I was 17 in like the height of becoming a man or getting into manhood, what is being a man? What does it mean to be a man? And I was always reaching towards these ideas, you know, a man is aggressive. A man is presentable, you know, looks good. A man speaks a certain way, has a low voice, like Kenny's voice. You know, like those are all things that I looked at to be like, oh, this is what a man is, when I really need to look at who I am as a man. What kind of man was I? And what did that do for me? And now, who am I actually? So yeah, the food, you know, it's really good to have structure. It's really good to, when you're traveling and you're on the road, to have a bit of structure that's going to keep you accountable. But ultimately, I'm going to challenge you guys on this, is oftentimes food isn't the solution. Exercise isn't the solution. When you're presented with food options, let's say you're out with people and you're at a restaurant and the food isn't like the best food, you know, you don't have, it's not hitting all the marks that you know are going to make you feel your best, but you're with amazing people, you're in a great city, you're having conversations that are real, that are deep, and they're grounded. I would even suggest that what you're eating doesn't really matter. It will make a difference, of course, because you might not be eating the things that are going to help you digest well. But if you are hitting all the other marks, then health is being covered. So you don't have to just reach for health being, you know, okay, I got to work out today. You might not have the energy to work out today. You really might not have the energy because you've been fighting with your partner all night, or because you worked, you know, on 12 people yesterday. I don't know if that's a big number or not, but let's say 20 people. You cut 20 people's hair. That's a lot to ask that the next day you're able to exercise. It might actually be the solution, but I'm not suggesting that it's that simple. Waking up in the morning, and even Kenny at night, you know, suggesting that, like, you know, yes, you want to snack at night. Totally, I get it, man. I want to eat bowls of cereal every night. I want to crush cereal because it's delicious. I want to throw all this stuff in it because it's comfort food for me. It's my time by myself to just be and just to consume. But sometimes when I get into those states, I'm like, I need to slow down. I need to breathe. I need to go and do, you know, my gut check stuff, which is going to be really big in slowing my system down and getting me ready for sleep. And then sleeping, and then waking up the next morning and being like, oh, I move better. I'm not trying to still digest the food that I ate the night before. So all that to say that the things that right now we're holding on to, that's not a bad thing. But there are other things, and I really want to make sure that I can come to this conversation and present as many of those things so that you guys are like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that option. Because Kenny, you brought up some really great things about supporting your clients emotionally. And Gustavo, you said the same thing. You know, I really want to encourage that people aren't just walking away with really great haircuts, but they got an opportunity to be like, wow, that person listened to me and I feel better. I look good. I mean, I know I'm going to look good because these guys are pros, but I actually feel a lot better than when I came in. And that's a massive thing in that industry, especially since this is what people are there for. They're there to be taken care of. So I don't know what other questions you guys might have or what we might throw out there, but
I would like to when you get a chance.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I like the fact that you mention that food and exercise are not the only types of health. And in that scenario that you created about being at a restaurant and the restaurant not actually having all the things that you want, but you actually having the other things that are necessary, I think that speaks to the heart of what's labeled as emotional intelligence. Understanding what's more important, understanding what's taking place in the room, because if family is there, the loved ones are there, and everybody else is happy, and you're not being fully satisfied. Hey, in that situation, I will only pick maybe a couple sides from the menu, not the full entree, if they don't have everything that I want. Because what's most important is having that community that's there. What's most important is the idea that you're building relationships with other individuals and you're prioritizing how they feel and not making it selflessly just about you. And you also pointed to, I like the fact that you are being transparent about your upbringing, because understanding who we are takes some truth telling. It takes some analyzing of history. and culturally how we were raised. With me being raised without having my mom and dad in the same home throughout my entire life, it made me want to focus on me being a better parent and keeping my home in that type of environment. There's challenges that take place. There's real life situations that do happen that will cause families to separate. Um, it just makes the job even tougher, focusing on how things are to be handled. And it is a very sensitive subject, so I'm not going to dive into that too much. But I will say this: there are intentionalities that we need to have in the forefront as being most important. And when we understand what how we were raised, we can have a better understanding of why we make certain decisions. I grew up with me not having my dad in my life as much. I've had male role models, I've had father figures, but my father actually lived 7 blocks from me, but I would see him twice a year. So a big portion of what I do is making sure that I used what he provided for me as a barometer of what a good dad is. And because of not because of what he showed me, because what I yearned through the times of me not having him, right? So I know I use that as a barometer for my children to make sure that the things that I desired that I didn't get from my dad, those are the things I provide for my children. And then I take what I didn't get from mom and dad growing up when it comes to focus on education. I grew up a very analytical individual, but I wasn't pushed. I was raised by individuals who, even though school was a priority, but because of life circumstances, it wasn't as important as living. So when it comes to education, I wasn't pushed as much, but all my teachers would say, Kenny, you're the type of student that needs to be pushed. I would get bored easy in classes, become the guy that's going to tell jokes and stuff like that on because I got my work done easy because it wasn't challenging. So the type of neighborhood schools that I went to just didn't cut it for me. So those things that I went through pushed me to make sure that that I'm in a decent environment where I pick my home based on the school districts, not based off of how many bedrooms and how much land. Even though those things are important, they weren't as important to me as what school district has the best school district within 20 minutes of me driving to work. That was reigning supreme, and the only reason why that was is because of how I was raised. But then there's some deeper things that we started going into recently at my shop, and that was temperament. Understanding who you are when nothing else is involved. No money, nothing else is involved. It's no job titles, just who you are. And we learned that there's 3 different types of temperament. You have caloric, sanguines, we have melancholy, and we have phlegmatic. And learning learning who you are with nothing else, and learning how the others are in the room with nothing else will help you interact with other individuals better. Like for instance, then I can imagine that while on the bus, somebody wanted to be the life of the party. Somebody wanted to tell jokes. Somebody wanted to just keep everybody smiling. That person was the sanguine. Sanguines are the individuals who want people to have fun. They, even if a serious conversation is going on, they're going to be the individuals that don't take it serious and still try to crack a joke in the middle of it because they want things to be funny. But then on the flip side, the phlegmatic individuals are analyzing everything, and they're asking the question is, when's the next time that we're going to stop at a gas station because we're getting low? They're analyzing so many different things, and then they're speaking after they analyze things. And they're usually very serious. They're usually individuals who are going to be counselors. They're the people that's going to be the one that wants to make sure that everybody else is doing well based off of all the information they collected. Individuals who are melancholy are the ones you want to be scared of. They're the ones that they get joked on a lot, talked about a lot, and they don't say much, and they just very even keel throughout a lot. But they're usually very meticulous. They're the ones that's doing all the cleaning. They're the ones that making sure that everything's in order. They probably was your drum tech. The guy that made sure that everything was right, your sticks were in the bag correctly, everything was laid in order. And
yeah, that's me.
So that type of person, if they're a barber, their station is never out of order. everything on their station is put back right where it was picked up at, and their station, even throughout the day, just looks amazing because they want things to be in order. They don't say a lot, they don't talk a lot, but yet they perform and act out a lot based off of what they're feeling. Individuals who are caloric are usually the ones that they act first, think later. They're very loud, but they're also very touchy. They're the ones you can't really tell them much, but they're always telling other people what they need to do. And when you understand who people are, you know, whether it be based on how they're raised, it doesn't really matter at this point. It's who they are now. It helps you understand why people will do what they do. So you cannot get mad at a sanguine for wanting to be funny when you're trying to be serious. You cannot get mad at a caloric for not being want to be told what to do, because at that particular point, he just wanted to tell other people. You had to find other ways to actually, you know, communicate to that individual. But when you understand who people are, especially when we're talking about a barbershop full of people or any business full of people, we have to understand who people are, how they operate, just based on the communication that we have with them. So communicate with intentions of finding out who people are, and therefore it will build better relationships because your expectations for them will be different. Because one of the challenges that we all do, and everybody who knows me knows that I like to have tints inside of my glasses, right? But it'll be wrong for me to assume that looking at life through whatever tint that I'm looking at says that that's the truth of how things are. So sometimes we judge people based off of our perspective and not a real perspective. Because when I take my glasses off, I may see things differently. Like right now, I have a slight green tint on my glasses, but I'm looking at a silver MacBook. But right now, my MacBook looks slightly green. Is it truth that it's green? No. I have to understand that I'm looking at things from my perspective. And to make proper judgments, I have to make sure that I'm willing to take the glasses off, step back to make proper judgments of how things really are. And honestly, that speaks to the heart of conflict resolution. There's so many different times that we have issues that take place. If anytime you have a business that causes you to be interacting with somebody else, there's going to be an issue somewhere that's going to happen. And how we maintain those relationships is going to be based off how we resolve the conflict. If you're having a mindset of resolving a conflict, it's going to take EQ, it's going to take stepping back, it's going to take intentionality, and it's going to allow for the relationships to last longer when we invest time into those things. So Ben, you're right. Food and exercise is not going to help you in those situations. Mm-hmm. It's not going to help you. Being intentional about the other things is going to be what's most important.
Hey, Kenny, how often are you guys doing stuff at the shop where you guys like are taking a step back and just hanging out and talking about life?
Not as often as I want to. That's
Mm-hmm.
I blame myself because I'm usually the catalyst of it, but it's usually I'm gonna tell you what I realized about myself. This new test that we've been talking about, I realized that I'm more left brain than I'm right brain. So I'm more about ration and order than I am about emotion. And because I'm addressing that emotion isn't as high for me, and it's something I want to become higher, I'm becoming intentional about it. But I usually only base things need to be done or things need to change when things are out of order. So when things are out of order, that's my red flag to put things as a priority. And I haven't set a set structure of how often we do stuff, but I typically try to do stuff at least every 3 to 6 months in reference to checking the foundation, making sure the relationship tight with the staff and make sure everything is good. But in reference to home life, that's something that takes place more often because it's a higher priority for me at home than it is for me at work. But every relationship that I have, I try to make sure that we're good. And I'm gonna give you an example of how my upbringing has caused me to even do that. I've already told you that my dad lives 7 blocks from me, and I would see him twice a year. I never questioned if he didn't love me. I never questioned that. I always questioned that. I learned just through that relationship that time isn't for me. Time doesn't equate how much you care about somebody. So for that being said, if I have a friend and I haven't talked to them in a year, from my perspective, we're still friends. But learning from outside of myself, other people will judge that as a mark as if you're not friends. So when it comes down to the amount of time that's in between double checking the foundation, I'm learning more that not for the sake of me, but for the sake of others, is more important to do it more often because of how other people will view things. So I want, like, our most recent staff meeting, I took the staff out to, me and my partner, we took the staff out to Dave & Buster's. We started off with some games that focused on some team building and communication. They were all intentional to make sure that we actually focus on other things is most important. I wanted to communicate the idea that working together and communicating causes us to achieve a common goal. And when we don't work together, we can't achieve it. And even though you cutting your own client seems as if it's an individual thing, but everybody's responsible for their environment. And I wanted to communicate the idea that an environment is so important within the barbershop just as much as it is with a hotel. You can have two hotels with the same rooms that we're spending money for, but one will cost you more money only because of the environment. One can be on the Strip in Las Vegas and one can be 5 blocks away, but it can be the same exact quality room, but the one on the Strip is going to cost you more because of the environment that it creates for you that you want to spend money to be a part of. So inside of a shop, the environment that's created by the whole can cause more clients that see that environment as more valuable based off who's attracted, who's around, what the conversation is, how beneficial it is, how much they can feel relaxed, how comfortable they feel when their whole family can come versus just only the men, because it might just be a male only environment. All those things matter. And because of me being focused on that one and now being focused on others more often just than just myself, I believe that I'm leading my staff in the right direction of creating additional value for themselves as well as their consumers, because we're providing additional value outside of just the talent or the technical side of the service.
Yeah, the experience really is everything, right? It's if you, and you can only offer that full experience if everyone is fully invested, right? If you're not invested in taking care of yourself, both from a physical, mental standpoint, how can you ever expect to do a good job on the people, right, that are coming into your shop? And in turn, it's like you're somebody who's not in check or following along or replicating that vision that you've instilled within your shop. They're holding everyone back in many cases, right? Because they are the anomaly, right? Where everyone is invested, but then you've got one person in there and they could potentially be creating bad touch points with people who might otherwise be super stoked to support what you're doing. That's a really good point. And I agree too. Like we talk a lot here at Resurva, like, you know, just about who we are, what we're doing. Like, yeah, I don't have that balance that I would love to have, right? It's like I do everything I can to like stay in tune and, you know, to put a couple big movements a week in terms of like running or playing basketball like I've done on Thursday nights for years, you know, but I'm not at the point I was at 2 or 3 years ago before like Resurva got super busy for me. You know, now I got 2 kids, I got another one on the way. It's like I got to put more time into like compartmentalizing some like an hour, another 2 times a week, so that I can get back up to where I was, you know, 2 or 3 years ago when I was actually really stoked about my physical and mental health there. More so physical side of things. Like mental is like always pretty good with me. Like I can always manage stuff. And I'm used to like dealing with bad news. Like I can deal with it. I might not do as good a job as I should do about talking about everything, but I always figure out a solution. I never run away from stuff. I guess that said, like Devin, do you want to just maybe talk quickly about balance in your life and like how things are going, like how you find the balance between your personal life and your work life, and anything you do to like keep yourself stoked?
Absolutely, man. This is a great topic, and I can definitely chime in on this, man, balance, because I work like anywhere from 12 to 15 hours sometimes, man, standing behind a chair, and I just had to slow down recently. I'm like, man, I can't. What you told me a long time ago, so you can't make all the money. Mm-hmm. So it's like you really do have to find a balance, because I tell people all the time, clients not gonna tell you to stop. But the client won't come in 3 o'clock in the morning, you tell them, yeah, they're gonna be there 3 o'clock in the morning. They don't care if you've been there since 8. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They want a
So
haircut.
you actually,
So you ask,
like you'll cut some of your clients like that early in the morning?
I have cut on a holiday from 7 in the morning to 2 in the morning the next day.
Wow.
And I barely take breaks. So, and that's another problem I had. So now, right now, I'm taking breaks. I'm not working as long. So that's a great topic that hit home for me is balance.
Yeah.
You know, you have to balance because you don't want to hit a wall. I've never hit a wall, but I have colleagues that I've seen hit the wall, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah, man.
So I'm catching myself before I get to that point, you know?
Yeah, it gets real dark.
Yeah, and
Devin, can I ask you a question, Devin?
Of course.
Question. How much do you charge for your haircuts?
Well, now I start off at 35, and they can go to 60, depending on what you're getting and what time they come in. 60, 75. But most of them range like 40, 45.
Do you charge more when somebody wants to book an appointment after a specific hour?
Correct. I set my appointments to Resurva. I have it set by a certain time from 10 to 8. So anyone that wants to book an appointment before that, after that, or during my breaks, which I implement now, it's a $20 inconvenience fee for an offline appointment.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you some insight because I do the same. Well, what I did was Resurva. I created 2 profiles. One profile only one profile with the same thing, just slightly different, so that you know the difference.
Okay.
Will be a profile that works after 0 hours. Can you hit mute on your phone, please? Whoever's cutting.
Yes, sir.
No problem.
Yes, man. Yeah.
Creating 2 profiles, one who works after hours and one who works normal hours. But the profile that works after hours has a higher price point, just so that you don't want to get to the point where you're still being a slave to your phone while people communicating with you directly. You want to make sure that people are booking appointments online because that saves you time and that makes you cut hair faster because you're not depending on people to communicate with you directly as the first layer of communication. Let that be the next layer after they went online to double check your schedule. But if you have a separate profile that has the same administrator account connected to it, you'll still get the alerts, but make sure that second profile has the later hours and options available at those higher price points. And I will tell you, if you book it and you build it, they will come. I challenged the barbers in the shop to do the same, and they were surprised to see how many people were willing to spend $60 and more for a haircut just because it was after 8 p.m. The reality is, at any other profession, and people know this, at any profession, when somebody's asking for if their boss is asking them to work late, they're expecting for that time and a half, double time, or whatever it is, with the exception of people who work on salary. It's known that barbers do not work on salaries. So it's not uncommon for any service provider to offer their services for a higher price point because of them working either on a Sunday, on a Saturday, on a late hour, or on an early hour, because it's unreasonable for somebody to believe that somebody is supposed to work hour 60 for the same price point as they did for hour 35.
Yeah. And to end the plug, the Resurva plug, we actually got some pretty good.
It's funny you said that, Ken. If I might interject, man. Yeah, I actually thought about that, especially with the holidays. I thought about implementing something like that.
Give me a call because we got some other ways to work that too. But we're actually going to be addressing that with a totally rebuilt Resurva early next year.
Wow.
Stay tuned for that, man. We got some really rad stuff coming. Adam, do you want to talk quickly in the last few minutes? Do you want to talk about balance in your life and how you feel about balance and how things are going?
Okay, so for me, with balance, I feel like it's a similar situation to the other gentleman who just spoke.
Okay.
It's really hard to balance between trying to build a business and grow my clientele. And over the course of the 5 years that I've been cutting, I've become really close with everybody and like all the guys that I cut. And it's really hard sometimes to say no or to feel like you're letting somebody down. So I end up coming in sometimes as early as like 6 a.m. I have like a pretty extended clientele, and also have clients who drive trucks. And I try to understand their life situations as well, where they'll be coming back to town and only have like a couple of days to spend with their wife and kids, and they want to look fresh because they've been on the road for 7 days. So I kind of try to balance out and come in early and work late, but then you notice that it takes a toll on your life and your family life. Like I'm married and I have 2 kids as well. So it's hard trying to be home at a decent time and spend time with family as well as be here for your clients.
Yeah.
So balance, like I can't speak much on it because I haven't found the balance that I'm looking for, but I'm working towards it. I'm listening to a lot of the things that everybody touched on. And I really liked what Kenny, I think, was saying about having a second profile. Because like I also charge after hours rate as well, but just sometimes I don't even want to do it. Like it's not worth it. I'd rather go home and spend time with the family. And then I also think like there's also certain days that I'm willing to work late. And that's the best balance I have right now, where Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll go home early. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'll work late.
Yeah.
So similar to you guys with having children, when I prioritize the time with family, there are times where I will offer my opportunities for me to work late, and that'll be on Thursdays and Fridays only. And those are only times that you can book a late night appointment with me at a higher price point. Some of my barbers offer the opportunity for them to come in early. I do not. That's because of, dealing with things at home as a priority. I cannot come in earlier unless it's like a once in a year type of thing, because it's going to, offset things at home. What I'll do is Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays I do not work in the shop at all. Sometimes I might be traveling. I'll keep that as a day where I need to, take care of things at home and stuff like that, or administrative stuff. Wednesdays, if I am home and I'm working in the salon, I'm leaving at 4. And the reason I'm not getting in super early and I'm leaving at 4 is because I want to make sure that I'm home when the kids get home. I want to make sure I had that time to interact with them and do their different things with them. And the other thing that I do, and I'm not saying that everybody does this, but it's just what helps me, is that most of the notifications on my phone are turned off. There are times where I have my phone to automatically come on to do not disturb, where I don't care who you are, that's not getting through, because I'm doing something that takes that I desire and I want to have focus on. And then my text messages do not make any noises. Instagram, Facebook, none of that stuff make any noises, and the alerts do not come on my screen at all. And the main reason why is because if I'm doing something, I have a list of things to do, I want to get those things done. That's my focus, to get those things done. And 99 times out of 100, the people who are reaching out to you are not reaching out to you to help you get done the things that's on your list of to-dos. They're only calling to add more to-dos to you, and that becomes stressful. So my mindset is I disappear to get things done, and when I come back, I pick up my phone and I prioritize the individuals I need to get back to based off of whether it's urgent and important. And then after that, when I have time to get it to everybody else, then I work in that way. But when it comes to clients, what I'll do is communicate in my schedule when I need to make changes. I use specific text messaging apps that allow me to text groups of people. So I have pockets of individuals that I communicate with on a daily basis. The clients that usually come on on Wednesdays, clients who usually come on Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays, respectively. Those are groups that I already have pre-made, that when I need to address a schedule change, I'm sending it out as a group text, not to individuals, because I'm going to forget. I'm going to piss somebody off by forgetting to put their name in, and then I got to deal with that next emotional issue when it wasn't an emotional issue for me, because in reality it was just I forgot. But I want to be sensitive to some of the issues that I've had in the past, so therefore I'll focus on building these groups so that I can communicate better with individuals. All that says that I value my time. I want to get things done, and I want people to value my time as well. But I also want to show people that I believe that their time is valuable too.
It's great, man.
Yeah,
it's a great tip. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, really good advice. I guess Roger had to go. He's got a customer now. But before we wrap things up, Ray, you want to tell us about your life and just like how you're achieving balance, or maybe even, you know, just thinking about like new approaches, you know, after we've talked for a bit today?
I struggle with balance myself. I've been a barber for 8 years, so like the first 4 or 5 years, I had a family. I was in a relationship, but with me being a new barber to the industry, I kind of got carried away with what I thought being a barber was and what I thought I should do and what I had to do, and it was completely wrong. And it kind of messed up my relationship with like my kids and their mother. So I don't have that anymore. So I kind of regret that. So that helped me look at things in a different way. And I'm still trying to find balance, but it's a real struggle for me because I'm sensitive to my clients. They don't understand the value of my time.
Yeah.
I understand the value of their time, but it's like they only want what they want when they want it. You know, like I'm at a point in my career where I still have clients that I've been serving for 2-3 years and they still want to walk in. So I guess it's my fault for allowing them to do that, but it's like sometimes I'm scared to lose that money whenever I know I shouldn't be. But I'm just sensitive to these people because like maybe we became friends or whatever, and I'm not thinking about it as business. I'm thinking about it, oh, this is my friend. Whenever it should be about, oh, this is business. We can be friends after this. We can be friends outside of the shop. But right now, we just need to take care of what we need to do. So, like, as far as business, like, I mean, balance, I'm still struggling with that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to turn somebody away, especially when you're growing your business, right? I will say, like, my experience is like anybody who hasn't appreciated you and you've gone out of the way to help them, they don't stick around. You know,
Right.
they're just
Right.
they're just looking to get a short-term resolution to their issue, right? Which is like, my hair sucks, I need a cut. Ray's taken care of me in the past, I'm gonna go see Ray, even if he's already got, you know, 2 clients booked out, you know, 2 or 3 clients booked, you know, ahead of me. He's like, I need to get my hair cut now, right? And you know, that's when you take that stand, right? And with Resurva, you know, I was very intentional and slow in the way we grew our story. You know, for many years, no one cared about who we were. And then it's really only in the last couple of years where it's become my full-time job. You know, before that, we were doing the digital marketing and web application development. But, you know, I was able to there are a couple of clients we've done like special features for in the last couple of years. And like, we worked really hard to like keep them stoked, but they were never happy. They never, like, if you look at the track record and the way they talk to us in emails, they always talk to us like garbage. So it's like, if that person's going to talk to you like garbage, what's the point in having them in your life, right? They're just going to create a problem for you. So, you know, it's like, if you can like not deal with them, just tell them to leave, right? And I've gotten better at that myself because I was always a softie and I would always do anything for anyone in the past. Like, I've been working for 20 years. And it's like, years doing what I do. And it's like, I have so many horror stories of like doing work for like, you know, 20% of what it's actually worth, and you kill yourself and the person's still not happy. So then what's the point, right? It's like, just take a stand. It's like, I do whatever, $25, $30 haircuts. If that person can't book online and can't respect my schedule, they're not worth having in my life. There's plenty of other people that can deal with their misery, right? So it's like, taking that stand is really important. And I've gotten better at doing that. I used to suck at it. I'm still not amazing at doing it, but we are far better. And like, if somebody wants a feature, or it's like saying like, I'm gonna leave you if you don't have this feature, we just say like, okay, see you later, bye. You know, and if they stick around, they stick around. If they don't, then there's plenty of other, you know, people for them to work with. And it's given me mental peace, you know, where it's like, I don't feel like garbage because I'm doing everything I can to make someone happy, and they're not happy no matter how hard we work for them. And those are people you don't want in your life. And yeah, I hear you, man. Like it is a work in progress. It's very hard, but I think if anything, like from this discussion today, it's like, you know, no matter where you're at in your career, it's like everyone has problems, everyone has struggles. It's like it comes down to you. It's like, how do you address those? Like, do you run away from those problems, or do you tackle them and find solutions for those problems, so that you, when you go to bed at night, you can actually fall asleep, because you're not worrying about dumb, stupid things that, you know, in my case, it's like clients that would leave us because they weren't happy with some of the feature sets that we had or didn't have. And that's really important to have. Like, you know, I'm going to wrap it up now, guys, like, because we are like 8 minutes over. Like, I want to do an hour, but this has been amazing. Like,
James, I want to say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
This is based off of what Kenny's been talking about, what you've been talking about, James, and what I've been talking about. And Ray, you know, you just stimulated something that I felt like I want to say for this this PosiTalk, was with emotional sensitivity. And Kenny, chime in at any point, man. I think asking questions and like taking your glasses off and handing them to the other person and be like, what is it that you see? Like, why do you walk in and ask me to do something for you? What is that? What is that you need from me? Because I'm just curious to know, because I want to help you out, but I also need to help myself out too. So asking the questions rather than being like, listen, this is what's up. I feel like this, you're doing this to me. Like, cause I do that a lot. And, you know, James knows that because he and I, you know, been through that, but I'm like, dude, you're doing this. And I'm like, instead of being like, hey man, why do you do this? And because I'm curious, I'm just curious. So can you explain that to me? And giving the opportunity for people to explain themselves is really powerful, because it's such a generous way of interacting with people, not bringing it to, not dumping stuff on them, you know, but being like, I just want to know why.
Right. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's actually important, just because it communicates that your opinion matters. That's what it communicates. It doesn't say that my opinion changed because I prefer you to book online, but it does say that your opinion does matter.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's good. Gustavo, Devin, you guys got anything? Or Adam, anybody got anything to say before we wrap this up?
I just want to say thank you for everybody who shared their opinions and everything that we discussed. I really think it helped a lot. I made a lot of notes, and I just want to hope everybody has a great day.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah,
thank you.
That's a really good thing to say, because I don't say that enough.
And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you too for having me also.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to everyone for just taking a chance on this. Like, I didn't know where it would go. Like, I had some general ideas, but I mean, we could probably talk about bounce for another 4 hours straight. Like, and that's awesome. And, you know, following up on this, like, if you guys want to talk more, like, hit us up. Like, you know, my time's obviously, like, I've got so much going on, but I will make time to keep talking about this. This is something we want to do like every other week. Just like bring like 4 or 5 people on and just have good talks. And we're going to post this online after. So if you guys want to listen to it again, you can just like fire it up as a podcast or watch the video on YouTube. But yeah, thank you to everyone for coming on board and just taking a chance on this. This was really awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. That was awesome.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
all.
guys. Well, like Adam said, everyone have a great day. Thank you for just giving your thoughts, and thank you for being exceptional human beings.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys. Take care. Bye.
Stay blessed.
Take care. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
That was really good.
Sick. Yeah. Kenny, crushed it.
We had a good time.
Yo, man. Hold on, let me turn my video back on. Yeah, that was good, man. I love listening to you speak. Very calm, very intelligent, very collected, man. Appreciate that.
It's all based off of the challenges I've had that shaped me to who I am, and I'm still evolving. You know, that's what things are.
I know, right? That's how it works. You get crushed just for a little bit, and then you're like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. I'm gonna get it up. Oh.
Yeah. Like I said, I was sharing transparently what's taking place in my salon right now, and it was based off of different challenges taking place. I've seen, because I manage a lot of different personalities, and we have a lot of people who are, in a space of, having different issues with each other, and nobody was taking time to champion the cause of everybody being united. So we did some team building exercises. I'm gonna tell you what was funny. What I did was I wanted to change the narrative of what people thought and said about each other. So we started off our meeting by writing down on 3x5 cards what each person's 5-year plan was, but not putting your name associated with it. And then, we did this while we were sitting eating dinner. And then after everybody wrote theirs down, I put it in the middle of the table. And then I distributed the cards, shuffled up to different people, and asked people to read it and then guess who it was. Ooh. Not as a group, not the group guess who it is, but the individual who read it asked them to guess who it was. So what happens is you're hearing the positive things about people that you don't like, or you grew not to like because of whatever small issue that you guys had, right? That was unresolved. So now you hear something great about somebody who you have an issue with, and then you hear the room and see the room looking at that person differently because of that person wants to achieve something great. And you're like, oh man, I didn't know this about that person. I didn't know that,
Yeah.
And it just changed the narrative of what you say about somebody. So that was one. What you had the opportunity to say about somebody. That was opportunity one. The next thing we did was we played a game of within groups of who can build the highest deck of cards, house made out of cards, house of cards. And with everybody working together for that one, some people struggled, it didn't build, and it was based off of the negative personalities that was the negative energy that was in the group. It was getting frustrated, doing dumb stuff, so like that. But then you had another group who actually built the group high, and another group that just had fun with it, And what I communicated was, listen, we all have one goal, and when we want to focus on building something great, it's going to come based off of you working together. Some people are going to have to, that's strong, going to have to step back. My analogy with that one is somebody's going to have to become Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh was the leader of his own team, joined another team as the third man. Somebody's going to have to do that in order for the team to achieve greatness. That's right. Then you have other individuals that you will want to have to rely on that may not be that great. Championship teams have all had this role player that's hit big shots on big moments and taken all the glory. Sometimes that's what's needed in order for you to achieve greatness. So the people who are strong-willed and strong-minded, they ended up knocking their house down. The others that ended up building so on was based off of them willing to work together. And
that's right.
Once I was able to point that out, I think everybody got it. Like, you know what? I need to look at things from a different perspective.
Absolutely.
And I think having those visuals definitely help.
Yeah, the empathy you talk about too, like being able to read someone else's words, and see it from a different perspective, like you talked about, and creates a bit of a different rapport with like, oh, that's who they are, not this thing that I made up in my mind about them, or this one incident of, and the team building thing is massive, so
yeah, definitely. So
it's interesting. It's interesting.
And the other thing that was taking place, there was a couple barbers and myself that were at odds just based off of miscommunications and not communicating. Right. And this was an opportunity for us to iron things out. Nice. And when we change the atmosphere, so it's not work related, and have an opportunity to just, have a heart to heart.
That's nice.
It took time to get things out, but once we got it out, we're like, oh man, I was looking at it through this set of glasses. You were looking at it from this other set of glasses, and now we're interpreting things to be all off. And when we don't talk, we just build in our minds our own perspectives and assumptions, and we're creating our own reality.
Crazy. Trust me, man.
And it's far from the truth. And we both were guilty of it.
Oh man.
Just because I'm a responder to whatever energy you give, I'm going to reflect that back. Totally. So if you give me a lot of love, you're going to get a lot of love. If you give me a lot of negativity, I'm like, I don't need this. I need to keep going because it's holding me back and not allowing me to move fast.
Yeah.
So we started to build that way. But when we had a conversation, it was like, man, we want the same things. We just went about it differently.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you talk about your own agenda, right? Like you have a direction and you're like, nope, I can't deal with negativity right now, where it's like, this might be a gift. This might actually be a gift right now that someone's giving you, which is like, learn something. Not necessarily about them perhaps, but about you, you know? Like, how are you going to translate that to how do I feel? What do I need to do for myself in order for me to, not necessarily participate in it, but just like, because obviously if it's like soul sucking and it can't, then, and you're not ready for it, then you can't be there. But just to bring the interest to like, all right, what do I need to learn from this? Like, what is it about this that's happening, you know, that I need to implement into my life, you know? So.
Fully get it.
Crazy.
But
Crazy.
Today's conversation definitely was great. I can't wait for the next one.
Same here, man.
Continue it on.
Kenny, good looking out, man. Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right. Nice to meet you too, huh?
Likewise.
All right.